Hello. Yeah, this is take two. I was trying to do something. I was trying to read something I wrote that I thought was kind of neat. It's a piece of fiction. Um, Definitely R-rated. And I'm wearing a shirt for the occasion because I can't be that close to the mic. And I have to cover up. This is so stupid. I have to cover up my nipples because people make comments about them. Because people are freaking weird. But I got this CRPS disease, and it starts like right here. It starts like about right here. And unfortunately for me, my heart is right there. And whether it's advancing upward or not, and involving my heart or not, I don't know. But I can have that's how I cover up at night with a sheet, is I just cover my chest and leave the rest of me bare. I wouldn't be able to sleep because I can't stand anything touching the hypersensitive skin around here. Isn't that gross? You find that gross? A video where somebody's pointing at their body and talking about their anatomy and their physical issues. But CRPS being rare, I did it in another video under another account. So I thought, it would be informational. But yeah, I do find it gross. But I did like a video like that, and then like people was commenting on my nipples, and then like I was like, man, people are just fucking weird. I never expected that. I don't know. I got a weirder, or maybe I'm the weird one. I don't know. But it's like, yeah, I got some unpleasant or some odd private messages about that. So yeah, they got to keep the goods. I got to keep the girls under wraps. Apparently, I'm not going to wear a pair of pasties just because I have to be a certain distance away from the mic. I don't know. That's just my natural voice is just loud, and I can't figure it out. I mean, if I had that book handy here. This is what I've been trying to read this book. Last Algonquin book. Look it down. But I almost have to memorize stuff, and I got it in my head. Well, maybe I can figure out some cheat to it. Just because this is how stupid bad I want to be able to read books aloud and be like a audiobook guy or a narrator guy. But I think it's like me practicing to be a midget. It's just not my thing. I'm just a big dude, and yeah, it's like sometimes something is just not your thing, and you just have to accept it. But yeah, I'm trying to find a good page for an example of this is how bad I don't know if this will show up or not. Probably not. Let's see if I can change the lighting and destroy light. No, it's not showing up. No. But anyways, you can kind of see where I underline stuff in blue, then put stuff in pink. And I had like a color-coded thing. This is somebody who has too much time on their hands. I had like a color-coded thing, blue was words where you paused, and yellow was words where you emphasized, like, you are not going outside tonight, young man. Then you would have a yellow line under it. I put it up and I took it down just because I didn't like it, and because people were commenting on my nipples. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't wear a fucking shirt, but I'm reading a book. My nipples have nothing to do with this book. So anyways, that was a poor decision on my part in not understanding the human psyche. I just thought that, that's not that big a thing, But yeah, hey, I would much rather wear a shirt, believe me, and not have to be worried about being objectified in such a manner. It's very degrading. Sex object that I am. But anyways, yips, yeah, I just can't do that. I mean, I want to do it. It should be easy to do, and I just can't do it. It's maddening. All the thousands of novels I've read in my life, maybe not thousands, but maybe thousands. I don't know. I've read a lot, and I can't read aloud. I never could read aloud. It's just sometimes like I don't have a musical ear either. And well, I remember being in Catholic school as a little kid and having them nuns tell me, read what's on the page, and yelling at me. The scary ass penguin looking nuns with their rulers, and maybe that's it, man. Maybe I'm psychologically damaged. And it takes me back to when I was a powerless little kid at the hands of those cruel nuns and their rulers. And they would be like, read what's on the page, Stephen. Read what's on the page. Yeah, that's my name, Stephen. Now you know something about me. Oh, no. Read what's on the page. And I'd be like, I hate you so much for making me read aloud in front of people in the first place. Yeah, maybe that's all that is. Some bizarre psychological block that I got in my brain. Very frustrating. A car for a brief chat or anything like that. He just leaned in, took the money out of his sock. He leaned in. The next thing I see is he's stuffing down something in his front pants pocket and hitting the road. And then my good neighbor upstairs, he's driving off. So I don't know. I kind of got a death wish thing going on now. So I kind of like to and I'm not talking death wish Bruce Willis. I'm talking death wish Charles Bronson, the real death wish. I'm like going up to the dude and saying, like, look, man, I don't give a fuck if you deal, but man, don't be doing it around here. Don't do it in the building, and don't do it in front of the building. Don't bring your fucking skulls around here. Just like looking at it. Sometimes you get that macho thing, no matter what shape you're in, where you just want something like that. You want something like that. You want to get in somebody's face. And like I got a death wish thing now because withdrawal's my life's not fun, and I'm like, yeah, and like I can't do that stuff. I don't give a damn about I got to stay alive for other people, so I can't be doing that shit. But I would just love to get in his face, man, and see what would happen, just to see what would happen, just to see how it would go, It's just a nut grab is all it is. And I've done it before and known exactly what it was about. It's just like when guys grab their nuts to remind them that they got a pair. You see something like that, and I've seen it before. We had scumbags parading around here, and then you got to worry about break-ins, and you got to worry about people stealing shit to pay for whatever this guy might only be peddling weed for all I know. I only seen 2 deals go down. The guy's new in the building, and I don't been having withdrawals, so I don't sit in that particular chair by the window all that much. I'm in this freaking bed half the time. But yeah. Well, I can't read a story, but I can tell you a story. So, yeah, here's something. This is a nut grab moment, definitely. So, we got this park where I'm at. They stock trout in this park. These trout are delicious. And, they don't let nobody fish there before the tournament day because it used to be stocked by Walmart. And then they would have a fish rodeo for only the entrants that are, only the kids that entered. And it was supposed to be like from ages whatever to whatever, but they would rope the place off, put up no fishing signs and whatnot, but the ropes, were nothing. They were just he'd step right over them, which I did, of course. It's not much of a story if I didn't. So, but the kids go in there and all the, they fish, and then the parents, I think, are allowed to fish with them. So, they murder them fish, man. They throw in like 1,000 trout, give or take, and then they get in there and they get first pick on them, so they slaughter those trout, man. So, most of them get caught the first day, and then all the local people are hip to the fact, because, this is Ohio. There's no such thing as a natural trout stream in Ohio. Everything's stocked. So this is a rare treat for us. This is largemouth bass, walleye, crappie type territory around here. We don't get trout. So everybody in the damn neighborhood comes in there after the as soon as the tournament breaks up for the kids, the fish rodeo, everybody swoops in. The whole place is packed. More fish get slaughtered. So I don't know. what my deal was that particular year. But I was like, the hell with this. I'm just going to go down there early, and I'm going to be the first guy fishing. So it's roped off, and it's got no fishing signs and everything. And I go down there, and I'm catching fish so fast that first of all, I know if a cop catches me and doing this, he ain't going to like it on a couple of grounds. He's not, this is going to be bad if I get caught doing this. So I go down there like before it gets light out, and I start fishing in the dark. And, the fish, it starts to get light out, and I'm just murdering these fish. I'm fishing with corn, and I'm catching them so fast that I'm unhooking them and throwing them behind me like that, catching another one, throwing them behind me, and I'd throw like 4 or 5 of them behind me, and then I'd stop fishing, and I'd get up, and I'd put them in a shopping bag, like a grocery shopping bag, because they were like, I don't know, like yay big. They were like 12, 14-inch. Big ones were 16-inch fish. And they had garbage cans there. So I would just throw them in the garbage, so nobody would be hip to it if I got caught. They wouldn't see all them fish around. But that's how I was doing it. I was catching fish and just throwing them over my shoulder. I'm doing this as fast as I can. So I eventually caught 28 fish in about an hour and 20 minutes. That's what I took home. That's what I threw in my bathtub when I got home. And, just threw them all in the bathtub and washed them all up before I decided what to do with them. Which ones, how to package them and freeze them and whatnot. 28 fish in an hour and 20 minutes. That's a lot of fish. But anyways, while I'm doing this, some guy happens to be out there walking. And he sees me. And, he doesn't know me from Adam. And I don't know what I look like from across the pond. He starts yelling at me, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? Those fish are for the kids." And I'm thinking, I used to be a kid. I'm still a kid at heart, and the kids yell, and he's yelling at me. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, sir. And he's like, there's no fishing allowed. And he's like, there's fucking signs everywhere. And I said, I don't see no signs. And there was signs everywhere. I'm just ignoring the guy and packing up my stuff because I'm like, this guy's drawing attention to me. I got to get the F out of here. So I go into garbage cans and I'm picking out like all my fish and I'm consolidating them and putting them in one garbage bag, and I'm picking up the remaining fish that I had thrown behind me that are flopping around on the ground. And this guy comes up to me and he thinks he's going to intimidate me or some shit. He's like a bikerish looking dude. The big beard. He's like maybe 50. I don't know. He's like anywhere from 45 to 55 years old. Big old beer belly. He comes walking up to me, and I stop what I'm doing. I just walk up to him, and I just look him in the eye. And he sees me. I got fish blood all over me because it's nasty business. And he just looks at me, and he wilts like a flower. And he's like, those fish are supposed to be for the kids, And I'm like, yeah, I heard that. He goes, well, and he just started mumbling some stuff that didn't make no sense. But I was like, just ignored him like he wasn't even there. And he thought, I don't know if he thought I was a kid, or what, from across the pond. But once he got a close-up look at me, he didn't like what he saw. And, he thought he was going to go over there and like bully me or something. And it didn't turn out how he wanted to. So, that was a big fuck you to everybody that day, because I was like, the hell with this. I didn't get this when I was a kid. I didn't get to do this. I'm dirt poor. I could use the free food. And I sure as hell ain't listening to some Viking looking dude with a beer belly that outweighs me by 30, 40, 50 pounds come over and think he's going to bully me. I ain't having that. So, you just look at people a certain way and let them know that they're dealing with crazy, and I can access the crazy. So yeah, that dude just wilted, and I'm going home now anyways. But I'm taking he was telling me to throw the fish back. That's the part I skipped. He was telling me to throw the fish back from across the pond, like that was gonna happen. Throw those fish back, because they were flopping on the bank and stuff, and I'm picking them up and I'm putting them in a bag, and I'm like, I'm taking my fish and I'm going home. Because you're drawing too much attention to me. So really, he accomplished his purpose. So yeah, that's like a nut grab moment, walking up to that dude. and saying, "Look, man, you want to go?" Um, anyways, and sometimes those kind of moments backfire on you. Like I could tell you another story since I can't read a story where I'm on a bicycle, and that's I've never gotten to drive a car. I never got to drive a car. I drove motorized two-wheel vehicles like scooters and stuff. I'm too crippled up to drive a car or a motorcycle. But I was riding a bicycle, and I had to ride a bicycle into an appointment in downtown in the city I was live at, and just was a bastard of a morning. So I'm coming home, and I'm like, oh, I want a cigarette so bad, but I don't have a whole lot of money in my pocket. I had like so much, I had very little money in my pocket. So I go through the drive-through, and they're called Majority's drive-throughs in our area. I don't know if they're in other areas. And there's the girl that's working there. It's like I'm a nickel short, and I'm like had a bitch of a morning in a government building, and I just want to buy a pack of cigarettes. And she's like, "You're a nickel short." And I said, "Can you spot me a nickel?" And she looked at me and she's like, "If I spot you a nickel, the next time it'll be a dime. The next time it'll be a quarter. Next time it'll be $1. You know. And I'm looking behind her, and there's that give a penny, take a penny thing, like where if you're a couple pennies light or whatever. And I'm like, that's 5 pennies, bitch, thinking to myself. But I look at her, and I just get pissed off. So I go home. My home's not too far from there. I go, and I actually had my change sorted out, and I had a tub of nickels. I grabbed a whole handful of my big mitts of nickels. I rode back there on the bicycle, and I rode through the drive-through before, and she's got a little smile on her face. I don't know what the hell she was expecting, but she wasn't expecting what I did. So she comes up to me thinking probably that I came back with my extra nickel I needed, and I gave her about 100 nickels. I was going to just drop them at her feet in front of her, but I had so many nickels in my hands, they started to spill out between my fingers. So I just kind of like flung them at her feet, and I said, "You need a nickel? There's a bunch of nickels for you." I said, "Next time somebody comes through here, wants a nickel, give them one of those." And she looked at me like, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Well, you said I needed a nickel. Here's some nickels." And there's people behind me, and nobody's saying shit. There's people in front of me, nobody's saying nothing. And she's like, "I don't understand this." She's freaking out, and I'm like, "Listen, you treated me like a bum over a fucking nickel." I said, "Now you got nickels. The next guy that comes through here, don't treat him like a bum. Give him one of my fucking nickels." And you don't. I said, You don't even know me, and you treated me like a bum, like saying I was going to come through here and be short all the time. And she's like, starts freaking out, and she's like, "Oh, you made your point." She's scared and crying and stuff, and I'm starting to feel bad. But then she's like, "Kevin, get this guy out of here." And I'm like, "Oh shit, who the fuck is Kevin?" Kevin comes out there. He's like a 23-year-old kid, and he's a big dude. But he comes around here, he takes one look at me, and he's like, "Oh shit, this motherfucker crazy." And he actually stepped and walked and stood behind the woman and said, "What can I help you, sir?" She got Kevin, her enforcer. Wasn't a very good guy to throw me out. He was like, "Listen, man, I get paid minimum wage for doing this shit. I ain't dealing with this crazy dude." And she was like, "You made your point. Just go. Just go." And nobody's honking their horn behind me or saying nothing in front of me, but everybody's watching the show. So I get home and I feel like a heel, man. This bitch is working in a drive-through, making minimum wage, and I just made her cry and scared the shit out of her, and scared poor little Kevin too, who was about 6'3", weighed about 200 pounds. He wasn't so little. He was just a young, inexperienced dude dealing with somebody a little older and a lot crazier. And so I went home and I actually felt bad. It was like, oh, that was cold-blooded, man. I mean, but she kind of deserved it, I think. You can let me know if you don't think she deserved it. She kind of deserved it. just for treating me like according to a mean or an average, which I fucking hate, and not as an individual, over a nickel. And I don't know how that give a penny, take a penny thing works, but I think if I was short 4 pennies or something, I mean, I don't know how that, I don't even know how that works. I've never even used it. I just always see that give a penny, take a penny thing is some kind of change thing. I don't know how that works, but I thought, that's 5 pennies we're talking about. You're going to turn me down on them cigarettes, man. And I think it wasn't a nicotine related incident. It wasn't like I was just mad. I was just mad because I got treated like a bum and according to a mean. And I went to the grocery store after I went out of there and took out a $10 bill and finally got my pack of cigarettes and went home and smoked and felt like a heel for doing that to that poor girl and making her cry at her shitty job and her shitty life and scaring that poor little Kevin feller. I haven't talked about it because I was just going to read, but I can't read, so I just talked about the fact that I got a drug dealer living in the building, which doesn't make me happy. If he's peddling weed, I mean, weed people, and meth people, and crack people are 2 different categories. We had crack people coming here, man. You had to lock everything down, and you had to make sure all your windows were locked, and all, you know, I'd keep lights on and stuff. And it was summertime, and at the time I didn't have any a working air conditioner. So I have these 3 windows that are attached to the porch, and these people would go out and sit out on the porch in the middle of the night, and I'd try to like draw the cool air in from the night and then lock it up in the house during the day. So I would have the fans reversed to suck the cool air into the house. The problem was they're out there smoking cigarettes and crack. So I'd come in, I'd wake up at 3 in the morning not knowing this, and I'd walk out there and I'd get hit with crack and Newports, man, crack and Newport medley. Potpourri hit me in the face. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know what that has to do with what I was going to say about my benzo thing, but yeah, I stuck to a 1/4 milligram today. It's 11:17 p.m. and I didn't take it till late in the day. I did feel like my heart felt weird for a while there. I took a blood pressure pill and my 1/4 milligram is Xanax. Deprivation. Don't get to do the things you want to do, like wear a shirt. It inhibits you socially too, because today I was like, I want to talk to the other dude that's living upstairs. That's the family man, and I want to tell him, but man, I got to put a shirt on. I can't just be, you know, again, I just can't be showing the girls off to everybody. And I'm sitting there and I'm a mess anyway, but lots of times, like, that's happened a billion times where I'm sitting there shirtless and I'm like, I just don't really want to go out there. I know there's a lot of people that don't. Sometimes I don't give a fuck. I also have this theory, like, if you want to get rid of somebody, open the door in your fucking boxers, man. That's what I would do. I'd be angry in boxers. And there ain't nothing as terrifying as a full-grown, angry, naked man. So yeah, that would get rid of people real fast. So I had some bad neighbors upstairs, right? And my therapist actually does in-home therapy. She makes house calls. So she comes over to my house. And she was supposed to be there at 4. And the only reason these people knock on my door is to borrow money or to bother me in some way or to annoy me in some way. They don't live here anymore. They used to. So, you know, I had just heard them. So I assumed it was them knocking at the door. Of course, you already know that it was my therapist. But I answered the door in not boxers, but wearing nothing at all but a pair of very short shorts. And with a really angry look on my face, you know, because I'm ready. I was like, that's just my theory. You know, nobody wants to deal with some crazy, you know, that naked is associated with crazy anyway. So nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to look at all that flesh and hear my loud, angry voice. And it's just a lot to deal with at once. And it just chases people away. Just is clinically proven effective through the years. But anyways, I did that to my therapist. She was like, whoa. She's like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought, let me go get dressed, and I went in the other room and I threw some clothes on. I came out and I said, I thought you was going to be the neighbors from upstairs. I'm sorry about that. I said, sorry about mean mugging you, giving you the evil eye and shit. And she said, oh, she was actually in the wrong. I said, I got your card right here, though. It says that your appointment was at 4 and it's 3 o'clock. Because she thought she was supposed to be there at 3. So she misunderstood the situation. You can shoot at people if you lost your damn mind. And then like a couple years later, he tells me that story about shooting somebody in the leg. Oh, I come from crazy. I understand crazy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That same brother he used to kitchen hunt. I wake up in the morning and he'd have the window propped open. He'd have a cup of coffee out, and he'd have his legs propped up on one of the kitchen chairs while he sat in the other kitchen chair with a rifle in his hand, just looking out the window. This is not in the country. This is in a residential area. This is in a nice, quiet mom and pop neighborhood. And he's hunting out the window. He's like, anything that comes by, a squirrel or a rabbit, I'm gonna kill that son of a bitch. I wake up like that. But yeah, it makes for a lot of interesting story. It doesn't make for a stable personality, but it makes for a lot of interesting stories. Peculiar stories that people with more normal lives were like, damn. But yeah, I have relatives that make my stories look tame too. I had an uncle that jumped a motorcycle off a house. And I was like, how the hell did he jump a motorcycle off a house? And my cousin said, well, the house collapsed and the roof was on the ground, and we started living in a trailer next to it. And my dad came home and he had a few drinks and was on his motorcycle, and he's like, I'm going to jump the house. And they're like, what? He's like, I'm going to jump the house. This was back in the days when Evel Knievel was big. And everybody was trying to talk him out of it, but they couldn't talk him out of it. And you know what happened? He jumped the house all right, but the landing is always that tricky part. He didn't carry Strug. The landing. So that didn't work out too well for him, but he actually jumped off the roof of a house. Yeah, those were some hardcore kids, man. Those kids there, you're not gonna believe it. You're gonna think I'm just making this shit up, since I already told you that I wrote fiction. They had a game that they would try to get me to do, and I'm like, I ain't doing that. It ain't happening. But they didn't really have a name for it. But basically, they had a lot of abandoned like trailers and a lot of like places like that around there. There's like a lot of junk and stuff. But so there'd be like an enclosed area, and they'd go in there with a tennis racket, and there would be a bee's nest or a hornet's nest, and they would knock it down with a tennis racket, and then just defend themselves with the tennis racket. I don't know if they had a name for it, but yeah, they did that. It's like, why in the hell would you do that? I've been attacked by hives 3 times, and there ain't nothing like having a bunch of bees on your ass, and there ain't no water to jump in like stereotypical shit that you see on TV, man. You just gotta run and try to get them things off you and get indoors somewhere, and then where the ones that are stuck on you are attacking you. But I got tore up by bees. I got tore up by bumblebees and yellow jackets from nests on two separate occasions with yellow jackets and once with the bumblebees. The hive thing. If you ever been attacked by a hive of stinging insects, man, you ain't never gonna forget it. So I don't know what the hell them kids were thinking when playing bee tennis. Maybe they called it bee tennis or something like that. But I'm like, what is the point of this game? I don't understand this game. It's like a gigantic version. I don't know if anybody's ever done this when they were a kid, but we used to call it bee roulette, where this is really cruel and stupid, but you find a honeybee, especially since honeybees are so important to the ecosystem, and you would stomp on it, and they can only sting once. So the game was, could you kill the bee stomping on it with your bare feet, or would the bee sting you? And there's really a very pointless game that involving bee murder, and the very good chance of getting stung, because like every sixth time the bee would win, the bee always loses because they can only sting once, and then their stinger, God decided to curse them and make their stinger attached to their guts, because that's what happens to a honeybee when it stings. They only got the one time, and they get disemboweled, which is a very weird way to make a creature. And then you have wasps and other stinging insects that just sting you until the poison's dry, and then they're just poking you like a pin. But yeah, that bee tennis was like a very intense blown up game of bee roulette, where you just try to stomp on bees in your bare foot to see if you could kill them without getting stung. But yeah, we had to do something before they invented video games, damn it. And that is what we did. Why, we made our own fun. And we liked it that way. We loved it. Anyways, we just grew up in a crazy house. And the things that we never really thought about, the bizarreness, craziness, we never really thought about it. Because when you're a kid, you just kind of take everything in stride. You just think everybody's like this, or everything's like this. Then you go to other people's houses, and it's like you're on Mars or something. I had a friend that was a Jehovah's Witness, and he was an asshole, by the way. But anyways, I'd go over to his house, man, and I was like, this is really a buttoned down environment, because, my house was like the Wild West. We did have a lot of freedom. A lot of chaos, a lot of other things going on, but we had a lot of freedom compared to his house. There was order, and just stifling. Huckleberry Finn would have hated the stifling atmosphere of that Jehovah's Witness house. But yeah, I don't know. I honestly, crazy is an interesting concept to me, but I think it's a matter of just if you know that a pineapple is a pineapple and not a football, and you're not crazy. It's so thinking about casting a rat into a bunch of basketball players, it might sound crazy, but I knew that was a rat, and I knew that was did I say baseball? Basketball players. I knew what was up, and I knew what was going on. It's just a crazy idea, and it just amused me. So yeah, I think that there's just people that are outside the norm, and I think crazy is a different thing. A lot of times you see people, and they, in my opinion, they live crazy lives because they're just too buttoned down, insane, and everything has to be orderly, and this has to be this and that. And that's kind of crazy to me. But no, like I said, as long as you recognize reality for reality. All right, I think that's 55 minutes and 29 seconds of my usual nonsense. And that's enough. Like I said, I wanted to read anyway, but I might as well make something entertaining. I did have something to report, because I definitely have a drug dealer living in the building, which is, that's going to help my anxiety a lot, But if it's a pot dealer, that's one thing. We had a pot dealer living here, and it created a whole different kind of problem, which I wasn't afraid of the pot people, but they were always hanging around. There was like a whole porch full of them all the damn time. And yeah, that got plenty old. I mean, one couple of times I was like, you know what, I ain't wading through all those people. I don't want to see anybody. I just want to go about my business. I was like, it's not that important that I go out right now. I was actually changing my routines because I didn't want to wade through a bunch of potheads on my porch. And but the crack and the meth people, they'll steal any damn thing. I had Well, if you got time for one more story, here's how bad crack and meth are. Okay, everybody in my neighborhood, not this neighborhood, but another neighborhood I live in, knew that I rode around on a bicycle. So it was not a good neighborhood. So I had a method to deter break-ins, and that was real simple. Is when I wasn't home, I kept the lights on, and I had a decoy bicycle outside. Right? That's not the bicycle I rode, but it looked like there was a bicycle out there, and somebody would ride by that was maybe looking to boost, as the criminal element would say, looking to boost some stuff to sell, and they would say, "Up, he's home." They just see a bicycle out there. So my decoy bicycle had been sitting out there for probably 3 years. It's rusted. The tires got no air in them. The chain, I'm not even sure it would move. And I'm in my house. It's 12. It's about 12:30 at night. I'm kicked back in my recliner, and I got the lights out, and I'm looking at the computer. And anyways, I hear a pop. And I'm like, shit, I think I know what that was. Now you got to remember, it's 14 degrees outside. Freaking Ohio winter. So I throw a coat on, throw my shoes on. I go out there, and sure enough, somebody stole my decoy bike. The leaves, the rims are full of leaves. It's rusted to shit. It's not been moved in 3 years. It's been treated to Ohio winters and springs and summers and falls for 3 years. And it is not operational. It's a piece of shit. It's just to fool idiots. Somebody stole that thing in 14-degree weather. Took a bolt cutter out there and cut my chain. Now me, I'm mad. Somebody just stole something off me. I don't like it. So I start walking around the neighborhood at 12:30 in the morning looking for these people. Like I'm going to find them. I'm walking around looking. I'm like, I stop myself and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I don't give a fuck about that piece of shit bicycle. I'm out here risking getting beat up, mugged, killed. If they would have asked me, I would have gave them the bike. If they had knocked on the door, I would have asked them, man, and asked me if they could have the bike. If anybody that was that desperate that they wanted that bike, I would have gave it to them, man, and got another piece of junk bike to throw out there as a decoy. So yeah, I started laughing at myself and walking. Anybody that's listened to this so far, but yeah, I could see that kind of desperation with benzos. I'm gonna be honest here, and it might get me in trouble. But I saw ahead of time that my doctor was going to do this, and I was trying to figure out alternative means to be ready for that 50% reduction. But you know, you're dealing with that kind of stuff. You're dealing with uncertainty. So I wasn't able to be prepared, but I didn't want to go through this month because I had the oral surgery waiting for me, and I knew I would have to updose on the oral surgery anyway, and it's made it harder because I kindled myself a little bit. I don't know how tomorrow will be, but I had to take double my quarter milligram dose yesterday, and then today I was able to just do a quarter of a milligram. But there's one of your hour videos right there. Was with that, but no, never been a big drug guy. I liked downs, and so naturally, Xanax was right up my alley. I just didn't know. I was uninformed, and I didn't know about the whole GABA receptor uptake problem that it creates, and I didn't know much about it. As I said in my other video, this is all the warning I got from my doctor, and this is a direct quote. This is what he told me. He said, I would give you that, but some people, once they start taking it, get to think they need it. No dire warnings, just that some people, when they take it, they get to think they need it. It's like, no, your body develops a chemical dependency. Thinking has nothing to do with it. You know, you can develop a psychological side to the addiction. But when I'm sitting there and I'm crawling on the inside and I'm seasick and my brain doesn't work right and I feel like a total physical, emotional, and intellectual wreck, that has nothing to do with the psychological need driving me wanting to take stuff. That's all. Those are all physical things because my GABA receptor uptake has been interrupted. And so even if I have GABA in my system, which calms me down, would calm down my central nervous system, my receptors don't work anymore. So it makes your central nervous system and hence your nervous system hyperactive and puts an edge on everything, to where if the bluebird of happiness was chirping outside your window, you'd gladly blow its head off with a shotgun just to shut it the fuck up. I don't know. I don't like the way I'm feeling, frankly. I took my 0.5 milligram pill like 3 hours ago. I shouldn't be feeling like this. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. But yeah, any doctor before they prescribe benzo should do better than, well, some people get to think they need it. They should be like, no, this is what's going to happen to you. It should tell you it actually replaces the function, it impairs the function of a basic nerve function in your body, and then your body has to repair that if you're not on it anymore. Your body has to relearn this, and this process can take a very long time, and most people find it rather unpleasant. You know, or like I think somebody under one of my videos said, you got to, no, I was commenting on somebody else's videos because I'm not a complete narcissistic jerk. So I was commenting on somebody else's video, and I said that really doctors should, anybody that goes into a thing asking for Xanax or any benzodiazepine, the doctor should say, listen, I'll schedule this appointment, and I want you to go home and do some research, and just you can start out by looking on YouTube and get an idea of other people's experiences with it, you know, because that's really what made me really want to quit. Is I'm looking at all the people that are suffering from this, and I'm like, I'm suffering bad enough. I don't want to get no worse. And I had already tasted withdrawal at that point. And when people were talking about going through withdrawals for months, or like feeling physical symptoms for that long, I'm like, good Lord. At that point, I had only been through like a 2-day cold turkey before, and I got a taste of it. And then I had another time before that where I went through like 36 hours before I got meds in me. And I'm like, I was like, that scared the shit out of me, you know, and you should be scared. You know, your doctor should tell you, I don't know what, I don't even want to go into there talking about that. This is already long enough. And I've already talked about it before, and I think it's just flat out abusive. You know, there's two, like I said in that one video, there's two things here that are very, very wrong. The first thing is the indication for alprazolam or Xanax. It's indicated for a 2 to 4 week period to max to treat anxiety, and doctors are prescribing it for 2 to 4 years and sometimes more. You'll never ever convince me of any logic, speaking of irrationality, behind that. So they know what's up, so why are they doing it? 2, dropping people off of their medication when it's a controlled substance, when it creates probably the most dangerous withdrawal that there is from benzodiazepines. As I said a couple of times before, only 2 withdrawals can kill relatively healthy people. That's the withdrawal off of benzodiazepines or the withdrawal off of alcohol. Those are the only 2. I did not know that. I thought heroin could kill you. Heroin withdrawal is just really, really bad. But if you're healthy and you drink water or keep hydrated somehow, between the puking, you're going to live. So dropping people off is something that can kill you if you get dropped off of it. Yeah. So yeah, there's something really, really wrong going on with all that. Really, really wrong. And that offends my basic sense of logic. And then some. And frankly, I think what my doctor did to me with my history of AFib and CRPS and the 50% reduction was abusive. I'm just going to use that word. It was just abusive. And also put my health at severe risk. If I was a different type of person and I didn't know my situation, suppose I got panicky while I was getting cold turkey for 2 days, and suppose my heart went into AFib, and suppose I had a stroke, which is the principal thing you worry about with AFib arrhythmia. So what the hell is he thinking? Now, I'm not a confrontational guy, and so I did not say these things to my doctor. I don't do well in confrontations because I'm frightening to people for some reason. I don't know, like the biker guy. I frighten people. I don't know why that is. I shouldn't be frightening anymore. I'm crippled up pretty bad. I just got a very bad temper. So I think I have a very bad temper because I'm not allowed to express it. And then when I do express it, it's like that steam engine where all the pressure is built up and it blows. And maybe that's what scares people, is they know that I got that powder keg thing going on. So it'd be very hard for me to say those things that I've said to you, to my doctor, and not get in the nickel mode, not get angry. Because there was no reason for that. There was no reason for me to go through the flu. Imagine having the flu, tolerance withdrawal, CRPS, and 70% of your body, and to have to worry about your heart failing on you all at the same time for 5 days. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not new to those type of situations. But the unnecessariness of that, if I was to confront my doctor with that, I might lose my temper. Hmm. Yeah. Anyways, I don't even want to think about that. Just eh. Well, I had fun for part of that anyway. I don't know. I try to have fun no matter what. When you've had CRPS for 32 years, when you grew up like I grew up, where we played games involving getting stung by bees for fun and other type things of that vein. But I don't want anything to spring to mind, so I better get off here quick. I'll have to talk some more. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.